One of the reasons, Jayne, that I wanted to tape this is I wanted to talk to you about the nature of what we do and what people can anticipate when they call us. And obviously this would be better to do when we're both on the tape. But so give me some, what is it that, let's talk about the nature of the people that call us.
Most of the people that call our office, well, of course, they've been injured in an accident. Many of them already have talked to an attorney or have an attorney. So a very frequent question I get is that I have an attorney that just doesn't understand my brain injury. Along with, I have a doctor that doesn't understand my brain injury.
One of the problems that, I guess, in a sense, I was one of those lawyers at one time too. There was a time, and I don't know how many people I represented before I had gone to that seminar in Houston, Texas, and met my first neuropsychologist and listened to a neurologist and heard lawyers who really believed in brain injury. And there were a few really dedicated lawyers at that group and people who became colleagues and friends of mine after that. But, personal injury lawyers start as something else, typically. The good personal injury lawyers probably found an aptitude like I did when they were doing something more broad. But unless you work in an established firm and had an established personal injury mentor, you're not going to really ever see the whole picture as you start. Now, you can represent a dozen brain injury survivors, but if you don't understand what you missed on the first one, you may miss it on the 10th and the 20th. People say that, how many brain injury cases have you handled? Well, I handled 3 or 4 before I'd ever met a neuropsychologist. Did I make a difference in those cases? I don't know. And some of the early cases I had weren't actually personal injury cases. They were family matters where I had a couple of clients who I represented in divorces who'd suffered severe brain injuries. And of course, after severe brain injury, there was going to be that family conflict. In both those cases, the clients that were getting divorced because of violence that had happened in their personal relationships. And I think perhaps that's one of the things that gave me a better feel for some of the behavioral issues when I started doing more personal injury cases, is because I'd had the severe behavioral brain injury clients as family clients and divorce clients, and perhaps that was one of the things. There's a real structure to a brain injury case if you don't understand the layers of things that you have to prove, and you think what you're doing is walking into court and proving up the medical bills and assuming the jury's going to get the rest of it, you're going to have a real problem. There are certain experts that you have to have, at least in order to make a proper diagnosis. And if you don't bring those experts in, you're going to have a very difficult time, one, proving that there was a brain injury, but more importantly than that is to prove the nature of the deficits and the disabilities that come from that, and the nature of the future needs and the impact it's going to have on the person's personal life, the person's employment, and their day-to-day enjoyment of life, integration into their community.